guys, and welcome to another episode of Label Breaker, where we help you see yourself as God sees you and to break off all the negativity that the world has placed on you so you can walk in your purpose, on purpose, and with the one who is your purpose. So today we have an amazing guest all the way from across the pond, Mrs. Gill Bentham. She is a writer with a wild imagination and a clear perception. She has a 20-year nursing career that involved into research publication, leadership training, and coaching. All great reasons for browsing stationery and bookstores. I love that girl. Two of my favorite places, too. Her experience of a hollow marriage and sabotaged ministry leadership culminated in a divorce and reinvention. This devastating life crisis and the encouragement of friends released her stifled creative gifts. Wow. She lives in Yorkshire, England, with her second husband, Phil. Oh, let me bring her up.
Hi.
Well, hi, sis. That I am excited because I don't know a whole lot of your story. We have been working together to collaborate on some things, but I'm excited today because that sounds amazing. And as you know, here at Label Breakers, we love to help people get rid of the labels that they were never meant to have define them and to bring healing to our core labels and to learn to listen to the Royal Three, Papa God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and who He says He is, so we can know who we are and we can bring healing to our true identities in Him. So that we can walk out our lives on purpose, in purpose, and with his purpose. So that being said, I am excited to hear part of your story today, of a label that God has broken off of
Yeah.
you, one that you have stand in identity with him now,
Yeah.
and some of the exciting things, because I know a little bit of what you're doing, but I don't know all of what you're doing. So with that, sis, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your welcome and for inviting me onto your amazing platform, Crystal. The message I suppose I would say is, apart from talking about a particular season when a definite label change did take place, I would say it's still been an ongoing transition and journey over years and years, and I don't expect that to finish.
Right.
So I think we're constantly learning new depths and new understanding of our identity in Christ. But saying all that, there was a real breakthrough time for me. So I'd be happy to talk about that.
Yes, that would be amazing. And I 100% agree with you. It is an ongoing process. Like it's never once and done, right? Like
No.
he keeps changing us more and more as we get to know him more and more. So yes, please share.
Well, I suppose many of your viewers will have heard of John Maxwell. And so I had gone to an international leadership conference when he kicked off his very first coaching program, certification for international coaches and leaders. And at that conference, I met somebody who turned out to be somebody who's been on a journey with me as a fellow entrepreneur. He is streets ahead of me. As an author already published then, he had his first really breakthrough book called Your Secret Name. I think that this is something that I would say was a gift to me at that time, because I was trying to find a new direction. I had had a failed marriage, a failed ministry, because I was married to the guy, myself, and he led the church, and we had a flooded building, we had devastation, and although one would say that was terrible, would never really want that ever to happen, it was something that pivoted me in a very important way. And I know there'll be people watching this who have hung on to marriages against all costs. That's fine. this was very personal for me, that I felt God said, I love you more than the marriage institution.
Wow.
So that seems controversial, but if I said that there was a level of emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, that was definitely killing me. That was really the dynamic that I was escaping from. So when I had met in Florida this author called Carey Oberbrunner, he handed me one evening, listening to my story, he handed me this book. I've probably mentioned it to you, Crystal, Your Secret Name.
Wow. Wow.
And I think it would resonate so much with the people who are obviously subscribers to you, because it comes really from the point in Revelation where it says that we have a name, a new name written on a white stone.
Right.
And the concept was that why should we wait until eternity to find out what that name might be? And I thought, yeah, absolutely, that's it. And to really condense things down, over the course of a couple more years, I wrote my first book, which was called Disentangling Genius.
Wow.
And in there, I detail some of my story, but also this turnaround, which was when I was reading this book, I realized that I had been squashed. I had been shamed, embarrassed. I was successful professionally before all this, but there was a lot that had got buried and made me a very performance-driven person. And I was overly responsible, and I was carrying far too much weight. And I had a picture of my life being like a tangled mass of knots of yarn. And there were three main colours, and one was black, and one was red, and one was green. And the green was overwhelming nausea at the responsibility of my life. It was just so heavy. God turned that around into a place for me which became recreational, new growth, new life, like new leaves. And the red was the embarrassment and the shame of everything I had probably imagined would not happen to me, happened to me. And but the red of embarrassment became the red of boldness and daring. So even to this day, I have a Twitter handle, and my name on many accounts is @Gill
Wow.
because this boldness was something that I aspired to and could never break into. And then the black thread was the black of fear, a very, very big issue in my childhood, nightmares, people fearing man, lots of elements of that. And I'd always loved the cartoon images as a child, and the fact that you had these big black bold lines around everything that really earmarked every single character clearly, and the black distinction and standing out, that was the change. So those are just concepts of change, but the picture of those knotted yarns were used as the premise for my first book, which I'll show it you guys. It's called Disentangling Genius.
Wow.
And the whole story was based on that crafting metaphor of disentangling all the knots of frustration. My life was a huge mess of frustration. And the point that Carey's book had spoken to me was that he had this idea that we are given our name, which mine is Gill and yours is Crystal. But then we have, that's our birth name, but then we collect these other names, or labels as you call them, at school, in our families, where we're poked fun at, or where we start to believe lies in our minds that maybe the enemy has suggested. And one or two of those were, let's say, too stuck up, which wasn't me being snooty, it was me being shy, actually. Clumsy, that was one from my mum. And then there was failure. Wow. And there was disappointed. So these names had stuck, and they've become very much aligned to my experience of life as an adult. And when I got this idea that there is more than just our birth name, there's more than just our given labels, there is actually a new name which God has in heaven for us. And
Mm.
I started to ask, what's my name?
Wow.
And this isn't something everyone chooses to share if they have been on one of these programs or read the book. It's not something everyone chooses to share. But I feel it's a message, and I'm so happy you're taking this message forward, because I
Mm.
think we need to celebrate and talk about the new names we've discovered. It is about discovering something that He has already written long before we were ever born.
Mm.
And I'll tell you this story. When I was about 5, it was really, really popular to watch Western movies. And I had this Indian squaw outfit, and I loved playing cowboys and Indians. And I always had this fascination with the squaws in the films,
Mm.
beautiful long plaits and the feather hairdos. I received from God one day on my trip home from America, flying over Philadelphia. I heard God whisper to me my new name while I was reading His book, and
Wow.
it was Sought After Dares.
Wow.
A double-barreled name, just like a squaw. I thought, wow, God, that's amazing.
Mm.
Sought after dares. And
Mm.
that to me hints at the lack of feeling seen or
Mm.
valued or
Mm.
cared for or chased after. And all the ways God does love and care and chase after us.
Mm.
And that was the reason why I wasn't courageous.
Mm.
So once He said, you are sought after,
Yeah.
I was courageous. I
Mm.
found my confidence. And so that name is the cherished name that I believe is written on the white stone. And I believe we all have one of those.
Yes.
And maybe this is something that you might ponder for yourself and your subscribers as well. So
Wow.
yeah, that was a turning point for me. And through that, I wrote the book that I've told you about. I wrote a further book. I've brought up 2 children from teenage years of a divorce right
Mm.
through to young adulthood. Continue to fellowship, continue to grow as a Christian, although I have been very much having to eat humble pie, sitting in at the very edge of church life for a long time, and healing, and people really just respecting the space that I needed for many years.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Like, I am like sitting here just almost speechless because I can just feel like so much love,
Mm,
like just flowing
mm,
over you and through you. And how, like, what an amazing story. Like, I can just see the yarn and see the colors and see the knots. And girl, I hate knots. I hate knots in yarn. I hate, like, I give up so easy.
yeah,
Like, your necklaces are tangled or stuff is tangled. I'm like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't want to
He,
untangle. It's hard.
he never does. He never gives up. He never gives up.
So yeah, so I really resonate with, that and the colors. Wow.
Mm,
Like that is that's part of like what we do in label breakers is one
yeah.
of the acts is reclassifying
Hmm.
what has been put on us that has been hurtful and negative. And sometimes like he totally removes
Mm.
those from us, but sometimes he reclassifies them.
I
And
think
that's
that's
what he
definitely
did.
definitely happened with me, and
Yeah.
it's often an aspect of something which is the very direct opposite of what the previous identification was. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Wow, that is powerful. So do you go more in depth in that in your disentangling? Do you kind of go
I
more
do tell that.
in
I tell that story of the renaming, yes, and then the whole idea of that has stayed with me, and what you know is that I have taken my writing forward as well to write my first children's book. And the reason that I did that was because I was convinced that children don't read the same as they did, but I still felt there was a case for a book for those that do. It was also because I needed to get my head around a concept which was going to become a game. Now, I am not technical, I am artistic, and I am a writer. I illustrated it as well, but I needed to be able to map out the plot, the storyline, the characters, the development of a spiritual formation of characters within an adventure inside a giant redwood tree. And they go from one level to the next, and they face obstacles and they face enemies such as parasites, woodpeckers, all kinds of things that you would find in the redwood forest. I wrote the book, which is a wonderful product in itself, but really I just did that to get engaged with the thinking about those characters. And in the book, the characters have a name which is changed about 2/3 of the way through the book. And they all have an awards, a disc ceremony where they receive a slice of the trunk of the tree as a plaque, which memorializes their new name.
Wow.
And so this is going to be translated into the game when that becomes created, when that is able to find the right collaborative team around me. And the whole game concept is really around helping children and young people to enjoy a game that is actually going to reward spiritual formation and fruits of the spirit being developed through play. And there's a reference to the over responsibility in my life that got squashed and really pushed down the playfulness of the child within me. And I want to celebrate children's exploration and curiosity and their playfulness, and make a game that will engage all of that without insisting on them shooting and smashing and breaking and killing. It'll have to be engaging to compete with some of the stuff that's out there, but I believe it's possible.
Yes, I believe it's possible too. Come on. I mean, that makes me so excited because my grandchildren, I mean, my older kids too, like they love games. And like they really, even my oldest ones have really gotten into Minecraft lately. And I was like, I'm not a big gamer. I don't do good at games. Like my daughter, I started playing with her just to do some connection. And she's like, Mom, I'm like, I know I'm bad. I'm really bad, but it's fun. But I love, because I mean that is such a part of their world now. And I'm like Minecraft, I'm like, what? You're just building these little blocks, like what? So whatever. But it's them interacting. Like I listen from their room. Like they are almost 18, 21, 27, 28. Like, and I can hear them talking to each other, and they'll be on there for hours, and they live in different houses and places. And I'm like, wow, like they're connecting with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what is the joy of the game, is the connection. And so I love that you're doing that. And like even my 4 and 6-year-old, they play the Minecraft and they'll like go on their worlds with them. They're like, we don't want them in our world because they just destroyed the world. I'm like, okay. But they play with them.
This is it. It gives so many opportunities to talk about real issues, but in a safe way and in a healthy way that's growing and developmental.
I love that. It's so, and to have something that you can know that they're playing where, like you said, it's, developing in them the fruits of the spirit and then their closeness with God, and playing a game where lots of people might not even know that that's happening, but God knows it's happening. And so that we can, do that. So yes, Jesus, let's get the resources for Jill to be able to take this word, and we know that you've given it to her. So we know that he will bring it in
Yes.
time, and that you're being faithful. I know you are, through each step, and
Mhm.
your heart, and to partner with you on that. We are definitely partnered with you on that, in prayer,
Mhm.
and connection, and community, and hopefully finances too. As he brings them in, we will share them.
Yeah.
so so um so we kind of, I mean, like, we're close to time, because I know you've got a stopping point, and we kind of like wrapped everything, I think, but do you have something more specific? Like, I know you said your name, but do
Yeah.
you have any other thing you want to say, like, labels that I did with identity, or a more you want to share, walking out your purpose, what you're doing? Is there anything else you want to share deeper with us? Because I could listen to you all day, sister. I could listen to you all
It's okay. I have some more time. Um,
day.
I think I've just come to a peace with being who I am.
Mm,
I'm not worrying about the fact that I've learned I am an introvert, but it doesn't mean I'm antisocial.
mm,
I've realised that I am a thinker. It doesn't mean that I can't do certain things practically,
yeah.
but I celebrate the things I'm good at, and increasingly everything that I read or that I'm exposed to about leadership and about business development
Mm,
is about you honing your skill and really making sure that you focus on that, and you find the others around you who can do the other things
yes.
that you would rather not. It's a concept by I think Dan Sullivan is one of the authors of the book Who Not How,
Mm,
which is really fundamental to success and to peace and to peace of mind, being able to rest easy and enjoy the work. So when you love the work, you want to work more because it's not really work.
right.
And so, although I am still nursing, and it's been a lifelong love-hate relationship with
Mm,
nursing, not
mm,
with people, I love people.
right.
I've come to terms with the fact that I am humbled in many ways, but I am also exposed to such an array of characters
Mm,
in my working life,
mm,
and have gained communication skills and the ability to match in conversations and reflect people's understanding, and all of that is the making of me, so that even if I am retired, before I finally have what God told me to do, which is to take your stand and declare the whole gospel, I'll be
mm,
doing it in this creative way, but I will be drawing on all of those experiences, including the harrowing ones as well.
mm, mm, mm,
And yeah, I just encourage your tribe to really go with this concept that you're holding out, to
mm,
break those labels. Another way of thinking about it is like having duct tape over your mouth with another name written on it, but you
mm.
need to get those ripped off and be able to speak out your real name
Yeah.
without hesitation, without restraint. And comparison is such a hideous thing that stops
Mm,
us really owning who we are. So yeah, comparison is a killer.
mm.
And I think if we can learn to just get to know ourselves, I'm a real sucker for the psychometric tests and all the personality tests and such like.
Mm,
I think once you've done all that, then be at peace, but let God speak into that and give you the affirmation of what it is He's put you here for. Because I think your name, your very character and personality is hopefully converging into this one point now where you
mm,
to the world. And
yeah.
it's taken me a long, long time. It's why I have been so frustrated. But ultimately, we've got to let God say when we're ready.
Mm, mm, mhm.
If anything, I've been guilty of trying to preempt God
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So he's made me wait. He's made me wait such a long time.
Yeah.
So he did with Joseph. did with Moses, years and
Mhm.
years and years in the wilderness. So
Yeah.
don't be discouraged, anyone who feels like they're missed, they're hidden, or they're obscured,
Mm.
or should be on the platform and they'll never get there.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's in God's timing.
Amen. Yes, he's been speaking that so much to me this week that it's his time. He's the redeemer of all time.
Mm,
And to just rest in his time, rest in him, and
mm,
rest, like you said. I mean, we we want it to happen so quickly and so fast. And um, you know, in some of our groups that we're connected to, and he says that, like, how long did Joseph wait? How long did Moses wait? How long did, Noah take to build the ark? How long,
yeah.
and everybody's like, oh, I'm a 20-year overnight success. But like you said, it's just resting in his time, just
Mm,
taking our one step and using, like you said, all of what we've walked through with
mm,
him. All
mm,
of, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, like it's all a purpose in
mm,
his purpose that
yeah.
he has for us. And we can get stuck along the way, or we can get lost, and
Mm,
sometimes don't always make it out in this physical form.
mm,
Um, but he has redeemed all things.
amen.
Eventual, we all are covered under his blood. We've all been redeemed,
Yeah.
and he's already done it. And so I'm thankful for him just walking out every step and bringing the people now in this season. I do believe that we are going to encounter a season of acceleration, the
Yeah.
next season of where those that we're doing the work and we haven't given up, that he's going to use us to help those that are coming behind and
Yeah.
open their eyes and know their name, and
Absolutely.
um, so that we can love them too, up
Mm,
to where we are, because like you said, it's an ever changing journey,
mm,
right? We have eternity to
yeah.
growing and changing and learning and loving, and it's just, there's joy in that. For me, there's joy in that it's a never, that it's just always increasing. I never fully understood the glory to glory thing.
Yeah. That's
So, because
exactly it.
I'm like, man, some of this doesn't feel glorious that we're walking through, right? Like, this doesn't feel glorious. But when
Yeah.
you really go back and look, and like he's speaking to me today, like I've kind of done it in the past, but I kind of been walking through a little bit hard season again right now, like, but to just be thankful, like to start a gratitude journal
Yeah.
and sit in thankful of every little moment, like with him, like Anne Voskamp had a book of law. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she had the Thousand Gifts book. So years and years ago, like I started that, where you would write down every little thing to get to 1,000 gifts. And so I'm like, I'm going to do that again. Like,
Yeah.
to sit and focus on what he's done,
Yes.
and then it increases what he's doing. Because
Yeah.
if we just focus on the negative and
Yeah.
we get stuck in the darkness, or we get stuck in the overwhelm, or we get stuck in whatever, and that's what we see.
Mm,
But if we sit and we can just focus on the thankfulness of every little thing, like sometimes my family thinks I was crazy when I was like doing real good. And I'd be like, oh, look. So I always forget, like, we have a water filter, and I start filling up jugs, and then I'll start doing other stuff, and it will like overflow over the counter and make a mess. And so I started like being like, oh, look, it didn't overflow. Thank you, Jesus.
yeah.
Just
Small
really
thing.
like,
Yeah.
even a small thing like that. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm like just recognizing for myself, again this week, to go back and be thankful in the small things and the big things, but just
Well, this was not a small thing. This was an amazing thing,
oh,
and I bless the
yeah,
message that you have
thank
out there.
you. Oh, sister, I bless you. So we will add all of your links so people can come. So guys, make sure to check out Jill's links. She has a Facebook community too, and she's going to have YouTubes where you can join with her in bringing her game to